for the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. KUAM News Headlines is presented by Calvo's Insurance, serving Guam for 80 years. Also brought to you by Matson and the Adahi Etano program. Cars Plus, reminding you to put your phone down while driving. Distractions won't get you there. Heads up, Guam. IP&E, fueling excellence. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And steaks, ribs, seafood, and our famous Fresh Garden Bar. Ruby Tuesday. Good times you can taste.
Coming up on Prime Time, with the deadline just a mere 8 days away, your elected lawmakers begin discussing the 2020 budget bill. Plus, is enough being done to stop the island's ice epidemic? Hear what one senator is saying. And a jury has been selected for the brothers accused in the Mingila machete attack.
Hafaday and good evening, Guam. Discussion has finally begun on the nearly $1 billion fiscal year 2020 budget bill. Before things got underway with testimony by the Office of Finance and Budget Vice Speaker and Vice Chair of the Committee on Public Safety, Telena Nelson, moved to delete 3 sections that would have created deputy chief positions for the police and customs departments and changed the qualifications for the chief of police. When KUAM asked Nelson about the previous provisions yesterday, she had indicated her opposition. In his presentation, OMB Director Stephen Guerrero laid out the latest version of the spending plan, which identifies about $954 million in projected revenues available for appropriation. But just after he finished, senators voted to recess until tomorrow to have more time for review. With just 8 days left before the August 31st deadline, Appropriations Chair Senator Joe San Agustin says they plan to work as late as necessary to get a budget bill passed. Ahead of the budget debate, senators cleared out the voting file, passing 5 measures and confirming more than 20 board and commission nominees. Nestor Lecanto reports.
The legislation approved by lawmakers includes 2 measures that address the growing foster child home and shelter shortage. Senator Therese Terlahi's bill removes the 12-child limit on emergency and temporary shelter capacity for those placed under Child Protective Services custody, while Senator Mary Torres's bill lifts the cap of 6 children per foster home. Senators also passed Joe San Agustin's bill that refunds certain airport general obligation bonds that will allow GIAA to take advantage from time to time of lower interest rates that will save them a minimum of 2% in annual debt service. Also approved was another bill by Senator Mary Torres that will allow the homeless to obtain identification cards to help them apply for jobs or public assistance. Finally, Senator Amanda Shelton's bill was approved to revise the makeup of the Senior Citizens Council, making it easier to meet a quorum. One measure that was heavily discussed but not voted on was Speaker Tina Barnes' local funding bill for war claims. It was tabled for now while Congressman Michael San-Nicolas works to have corrective federal legislation passed by the Senate. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Thank you, Nestor. The head of customs and one senator are making noise about meth and pointing at the port. You may be shocked to know that there have been no drug seizures at the port in almost 2 years. But what are your elected officials going to do about it? Chris Barnett has more.
The vice chair of the legislature's Public Safety Committee says not enough is being done to stop the ice age on Guam. Crystal methamphetamine, an island scourge, and Senator Telena Nelson says the silence is deafening.
It seems like there's very little talk about it. And when there's very little talk about a certain issue, we're trying to say that this issue does not exist. But this issue is very prevalent and it does exist.
Someone else who's talking about drugs now, Customs and Quarantine Director Ike Pareto. He agrees with Senator Nelson about Guam's drug problem and adds that the port needs more attention. And Pareto seems hell-bent on stepping up efforts there, especially since, according to Pareto, Customs hasn't made a bust at the port since 2017. That's almost 2 years with no busts at one of the island's main points of entry. Talk about things that make you go,
I believe there's drugs coming into the port. Yes. We need to focus more attention on the port. We need more manpower down there.
Nelson and Pareto also agree that a full-time drug detection canine unit needs to be stationed at the port, with Pareto saying that's on his wish list.
Definitely. If I can do that, I will do that.
We need those canine dogs to ensure that there are no drugs coming in through our ports. To be completely candid, there's very little attention put at how the port operates.
But just who is bringing drugs in through the port? Pareto tells KUAM News he has his suspicions.
There are areas down at the port that I need to work on because I feel that, yes, employees might be involved in this process.
The customs director says there aren't enough inspections being conducted at the port, something he's working on changing, and that requires figuring out what cargo coming in is high risk for drug smuggling. The director says, for example, only 12% of the 2,808 containers shipped to Guam in July of this year were physically inspected.
I feel that we should do more inspections down at the port, and that's what we're concentrating now. We're identifying the different types of commodities that are coming in and trying to focus on that type of inspection that we need as it relates to the importation of illicit drugs coming into the port. I can safely say that I've been changing the strategy down at the port ever since I assumed office. I'm now focusing on a lot of the shipments that are coming in, because if you look at the stats of where that is coming in, it's coming in from the U.S.
Pareto says his legislative oversight public safety chair, Senator Pito Terlahi, has said customs' only hope for getting money to hire more officers is to raise inspection fees. But Pareto says since raising inspection fees would be a difficult legislative process, he thinks senators should put their money where their mouth is and supplement his budget if they're serious about curbing the flow of drugs into Guam.
If they're not willing to raise the fee, then they should supplement my budget through the general fund.
Customs has made major seizures at the airport and the post office in 2019, 40 pounds of ice. That's a street value of $4.6 million. But not a single meth bust at the port in almost 2 years. Not a gram, not an ounce, nada. Which Pareto says means the port is a hole that he intends to plug up. For Guam's News Network, Chris Barnett reports.
Thank you, Chris. The motion to suppress evidence of 2 brown shorts and slippers from Brandon Acosta's case is further discussed in Judge Vern Perez's courtroom. Assistant Attorney General Leonardo Rapadas filed a motion opposing the defendant's motion to exempt the items, stating in court documents that the police officers had a valid search warrant. Consent was not required and allowed under the plain view exemption to the search warrant. The government brought forth 2 Guam Police Department officers, Carl Lizama and Eric Barcinas, to testify. The 2 officers were present during the investigation in June of 2018. Acosta was indicted for murder and rape charges in connection to the death of 15-year-old Tamika Nauta. Both parties have 2 weeks to provide any further legal arguments. However, defendant attorney William Pohl tells KUAM that an August 30th return date has been set. He says it will most likely be a closed hearing to discuss a motion he filed under seal. Acosta is expected to go to trial in October. And after a day and a half, a jury has been selected for defendants Emmanuel Resalap and Jordan Rechalup, the brothers indicted in the Manilao machete attack. Emmanuel was charged with attempted murder, aggravated assault, terrorizing, criminal mischief, and family violence with special allegations of possession and use of a deadly weapon in the commission of a felony. And Jordan was charged with multiple counts of terrorizing and criminal mischief. Trial is scheduled to begin tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. in the courtroom of Judge Vern Perez. Well, holding back tears, 35-year-old Darren Cruz enters a plea agreement in Superior Court. The defendant pleads guilty before Judge Michael Berdalio and is convicted for various charges, including kidnapping as a second-degree felony, burglary, and terrorizing as a third-degree felony. Cruz was a former Department of Corrections officer and has been incarcerated for the past 3 years after he allegedly hid in a woman's home and forced her and a man to another location where he brutally beat the man for hours and threatened to kill them if they told police. Based on a statute for kidnapping, Cruz could face a maximum sentencing of 1 to 8 years and a $10,000 fine. Sentencing is tentatively scheduled for November 14th. On Wednesday, GPD officers responded to a criminal sexual conduct complaint at a Umatic residence. A woman had walked into her living room and discovered 25-year-old Norbert Wayne Charfaris kissing a 14-year-old female known to her. The woman yelled at him to leave. Court documents state that when they interviewed the victim, she indicated that Charfaris had kissed her several times over the summer. On one occasion, the victim was lying down on the carpet and Charfaris touched her private part over her jeans. The victim said that Charfaris had touched her private areas multiple times. When police interviewed Charfaris, he admitted, "I was having an affair with a minor." He then told the police that he and the victim were in a secret relationship. Charfaris was arrested for second-degree criminal sexual conduct as a first-degree felony. He was booked and confined. Well, stick around for more news here on Primetime. You're watching KUAM.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
Half the day, I'm in the club.
Half a day, welcome to Two Lovers Point.
Half a day, I'm in the club.
Now there's a technology that's lighting the way to a new mortgage for people all across Guam. Introducing Simplify Mortgage by Bank of Hawaii, Hawaii's leading lender. Simplify Mortgage by Bank of Hawaii lets you apply for a home loan anytime from any device, making the mortgage and refi process faster and easier. Or work hand in hand with one of our residential loan experts. So put the power of choice and control in your hands. Simplify Mortgage by Bank of Hawaii. Welcome to tomorrow.
Okay, so what are we thinking today?
I just need a trim.
Okay, well, luckily you are in great hands. Perfect.
The $1 stylist deal.
Is that it?
That's it.
Or we could get a real deal. McDonald's buy one, get one for $1 deal is here. Buy one of your faves and choose another for just an extra $1. Choose from the Big Mac, filet of fish, quarter pounder with cheese, and 10-piece chicken McNuggets, but only for a limited time.
It's a special delivery to your inbox every week with your KUAM News Roundup, program advisories, and promotions. Sign up for the weekly KUAM Digital Digest today on KUAM.com.
Welcome back. With regional headlines, here's KSPN 2 News.
Half a day Guam. Here are the top headlines for CNMI. It's the Cannabis Act of 2018, a law to legalize marijuana in the CNMI. And today, House Bill 21-13 is signed into Public Law 21-5 by Governor Ralph Torres. This law makes amendments to the original act, and with the passage, allows for the Cannabis Commission to be sworn in.
First, as I vetoed I signed the bill last time, legalizing cannabis here, but some of the fees, I believe, was too low, and I wanted to give the opportunity for the legislation to be passed and to address the fee of giving permits, whether it's growing commercially, residential, or medicinal. This bill has addressed those concerns.
But with the island still in debt, where is the funding coming from to pay the Cannabis Commission?
We have looked at the legislation with the legislature. We're asking for $500,000 to start out with the commission.
And Governor Torres says the legislation will be deciding where the funding will come from to provide the $500,000. Once the commission has been sworn in, they will have 180 days to create all the rules and regulations. Nadine De Leon Guerrero is one of the 5 members of the Cannabis Commission that will consist of 1 from Tinian, 1 from Rota, 2 from Saipan, and 1 from the Northern Islands.
Man, this is monumental. I mean, we've been waiting since September of last year. And so, of course, we had Mankut that we were responding to, and then we had you two. And so this just breathes a whole new life into regaining our economy back, hopefully in the right direction. There have been some legislative snags, but we're over that and we're ready. We're ready to work. This is what we've been waiting for.
De Leon Guerrero says some of the rules and regulations she is hoping to create are...
Really, honestly, number one is to get it done right. We cannot please everybody, and that's with everything, right? But what we want to do is please the majority. and make sure that we're doing it correctly in the process and that we're not leaving out thinking about the education of children. Outreach is going to be key. We're going to have to reach out to those schools and develop some programs that are going to have to infuse the use of marijuana into the schools and talk about it in a way that doesn't promote the use, but talks about what are the effects if you do decide to use it. And so, of course, with that, married together with our elders, some were still skeptical if this is a good decision, but, you know, overall, majority wants it passed, and, you know, with the commission now on board, we're able to move forward and make everything a reality.
And although this is one step closer to cannabis becoming legal in the CNMI, Governor Torres says it's not official yet.
I asked the community to be patient and allow the commission to promulgate rules and regulation before you can go out and exercise that right.
Governor says he hopes to have the commission sworn in within a few weeks.
We have vacant commission in Tinian, so I just spoke to the leadership today. They're going to be appointing one and then moving forward for a confirmation or a hearing. Hopefully we can get the whole commission in within a few weeks. But they know how important to promulgate rules and regulation. I've talked to them individually on how important it is to move forward and to get, and I'm sure they're doing more research already before being sworn in. So I'm confident that once the committee forms in and has a quorum, designated who's the chairman and so forth, I'm confident that within 30 days we'll get something, at least a draft that AG can look into and then go from there.
For more news, visit saipantv.com. For KSPN2, I'm Ashley McDowell.
To the shores we head. UOG research from 2011 captures climate change data, and we went to find out why these results are so significant in the world of climate science. Here's more. His whole life, he's been fascinated by the environment and weather patterns that come and go with the seasons. And it's this innate curiosity for Mother Nature's magic and unpredictability that led him to his decades-long career in meteorology. Mark Landers is an assistant professor of meteorology at UOG's Water and Environmental Research Institute of the Western Pacific, or WERI, and co-author of an article that was recently published in the Journal of Coastal Research. The article is based on a master's thesis he worked on in 2011 with then UOG Environmental Studies student Tomoko Bell. Bell's research involved the study of the strontium to calcium ratio of the P. lutea coral species located at Gap Gap Beach. The first groundbreaking event was the result of Bell's need to drill core samples of the coral. Landers explains.
They even invented a new pneumatic drill that could run underwater with a water pump or something, hydraulic pressure.
Just for this study?
Just for the study. So that was half the effort, was just this machine, and they patented it.
Wow.
Up in Japan.
Having accomplished her goal of collecting samples, the next process was to date the age of the coral, which is similar to counting the rings in a tree, except in a coral one counts the layers, and then analyzing the timestamps for indicators from pollution to sea surface temperatures. Landers was tasked with this job.
At first, I was part of her committee, just overseeing how they were doing the research, and she started to come up with some ideas that the rainfall affected it and how the climate might do it. And at first I wasn't that interested because I couldn't imagine that it would show anything. And I said, let me have a try at it. And then compared it to an ENSO index. And this is where I ran, it was like in the evening, it was 7 or 8 in the evening, I just ran into the boss office and said, John, you're not going to believe this. This coral, it has a climate signal.
Landers' discovery is significant in that the chemical ratio of strontium to calcium has an inverted correlation to the sea surface temperature, or SST, meaning that as the SST rises, the chemical ratio decreases. The ratio patterns match the ENSO index, which is the data that shows the weather patterns caused by El Niño, including the SST. What was so surprising to Landers and the other researchers was the fact that the samples were collected in an active and commercial area.
I said, how's drilling coral in Upper Harbor going to come up with anything related to the climate? It's a harbor with pollution and ships and people swimming. In a common sense, most people try to go to these undisturbed, pristine sites where there's no human activity, no possible sources of pollution or power plant waste or whatever.
Landers did say that they collected samples of the same species coral around the island and the results were dramatically different. He's still trying to understand why this is and admits that the coral sample collected at Apple Harbor, although providing amazingly accurate climate signals that are in line with the ENSO index, is a statistical anomaly. He hopes to find answers to these new questions as he continues his research. Moving on to the church, sweeping changes by the Roman Catholic Church and the sexual revolution of the 60s and 70s may be among the reasons for the rise in clergy sex abuse. That's what Archbishop Michael Burns explained during a speech today before local business leaders. Nestor Lecanto has this report.
In trying to explain why so many Catholic clergy, including here in Guam, became involved in the far-reaching child sexual abuse scandal, Archbishop Burns referenced the reflections of the late Pope Benedict. He says the Pope believed that an unprecedented 1962 gathering of top religious leaders to discuss church doctrine, known as the Vatican Council II, led to a transformation that not all clergy could adjust to.
It was a kind of, at least in the United States, there was just this mass defection of priests. I remember being in a parish in Detroit, a parish I grew up in, and over the course, in 1 year, 4 of our priests left the priesthood.
He says many became disaffected and unhappy, and not just with doctrinal changes.
A lot of the priests were used to praying like this. And all the people would be, the idea was that the priest is leading the prayer and everybody's joining him, but he didn't have to look at the people. They literally were turned around and we're comfortable with that now, but some of these guys weren't comfortable with that. But it wasn't just that. There was a whole new idea of the priesthood, of engagement, of the lay faithful. It's not to say anything about that was bad. It was just, this was a time of upheaval. And I even just remember my dad, his favorite priest, his friend, left the priesthood, and it hurt him.
Burns says that changing attitudes towards sex in the 60s and 70s may have also impacted the church's training of priests. An example?
It became the practice of teaching moral theology for the sake of confession was that they would show pornographic movies to the seminarians so that when they heard of particular sins, they wouldn't freak out somehow. There's probably a better way of doing that.
But the Archbishop says the cause may boil down to one thing.
Pope Benedict, I think, is more to the point. He said the problem is the absence of God. I would say it was the loss of the fear of God.
For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Stick around. Up next, Dave Delgado with sports.
Make every day a plus.
A beautiful, healthy smile is an expression of confidence. The more confident you are about your smile, the more likely you are to fully express your feelings without having to worry about the way your teeth look.
Before cosmetic dentistry, I didn't smile as much. I didn't have the confidence, and it shows. And since I've had cosmetic dentistry done, I feel 10 times more confident. I make my initial introduction with a nice big smile and a handshake, and I just feel like it really is a relationship builder, a nice warm smile, and it makes the clients and customers feel more comfortable with you, feeling confident, and they feel that you're not just there for business, that you're also there kind of as a friend as well. So, I mean, it's amazing how powerful a smile can be. A good smile.
Since your smile makes a significant impression on those around you, it is important that it makes the impression you want it to make.
At the mall, as you enjoy your shopping, dining, or entertainment, you could also win 3 great cars from Atkins Kroll and thousands of prizes in Micronesia Mall's Cars, Prizes, and Getaways game. Present your mall receipts and have a chance to win the renowned performance Chevrolet Camaro, the unapologetic rugged Toyota 4Runner, or the head-turning Lexus ES 350 Luxury. Getaways to Manila, courtesy of Philippine Airlines, plus prizes from Foot Locker and Burger King. The more you shop, the more chance to win in Micronesia Mall's Cars, Prizes, and Getaways game.
KUAM Sports is presented by Triple J.
What's up, Guam? Dave Delgado here for KUAM Sports. Thanks for watching. I have an update on our U17 national basketball teams competing out in New Caledonia. But first off, information on tomorrow night's glorified sparring 4 event going down at Steel Athletics. Check it out. Weigh-ins for glorified sparring 4 was held throughout the day at Steel Athletics in Tamuning. An expected 15-plus fights will be scheduled for Friday night. The last event featured 23 bouts. Fighters will be competing in kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, MMA, and boxing.
Glorified sparring in its beginning was just to get my guys some fights before we go off island. We have a lot of international contacts, but the problem is just jumping into the deep end of the pool. You just want to get some experience before you jump in, and this is a perfect way to get guys the experience they need before stepping onto the big stage. And then at the same time, we're able to take some donations at the door and donate it to a local charity.
Matchups for glorified sparring 4 will be made after all the competitors get weighed in. Doors open at 6 with fights scheduled to start at 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. Admission will be by donation, with the proceeds from the event going to the Pacific War Museum.
A couple weeks before any of our sparring events, something has presented itself. You know, Professor Bob, he had his open heart surgery, and so it just kind of like the stars aligned, and we were able to help him by raising a couple $1,000s for him to go out to the States. And this time, I just heard from my mother-in-law that the Pacific War Museum had a government grant shut down. So it's going to be very difficult for them to keep their doors open. So we're hoping that by generating a little bit of funds for them, they could stay afloat and hopefully get another government contract.
Check out Steel Athletics' Instagram page for tomorrow night's fight card. Vendors will be on site tomorrow evening. Health City will be displaying their products and giving out some free samples, along with Mataco's food truck parked outside selling tacos.
It's great that the community can come together and donate to a charitable cause, and also test their fighters. With Guam Muay Thai coming out, Steel Athletics, and Vida BJJ, amongst other gyms, having members come over. It's just good to test ourselves before we go out and fight on the international scene. And also donating to Pacific War Museum, it's always a great thing.
Team Guam is 0-3 at the FIBA U17 Oceania Championship in New Caledonia. Guam's draw in Group A has been tough, losing to Australia in Game 1, New Zealand in Game 2, and most recently to Samoa, 81-51. On the girls' side, Alana Salas scored a team-high 17 points. Teammate Corey Nicole Paulino chipped in with 12. Haley Benez added 7 in the losing effort. The ladies will look to regroup and face Tahiti in the quarterfinals. Tahiti is 3-0 in Group B. On the boys' side, Guam is also 0-3. Big losses to Australia, and New Zealand put them in 4th place in Group A. Guam fell 93-40 to Samoa. Isaiah Malik put up 11 points on 4 of 10 shooting from the floor. Elijah Garrido finished the game with 6 points and 7 rebounds. Elijah Cruz and Kristen Guzman added 5 points apiece in the loss. The team struggled from three-point range, shooting 13% on 11 of 33 shots from the outside. Guam will next play Tahiti, who is undefeated in Group B at 3-0.
For a limited time, receive a free $500 Kmart gift certificate on selected new vehicles from Triple J Auto Group. Top of the class deals like the 2019 Mazda CX-3 for as low as $19,995, Ford F-150 starting at $229 per paycheck, or the 2019 Honda CR-V at only $205 per paycheck. Purchase your next vehicle online at triplejguam.com. Trade-ins welcome. Some conditions apply. Stop by today and with Triple J Auto Group, customers first. The phone you want now on the best network and a plan that gives you endless data on chat, social, and music apps. Tell your Docomo Pacific rep you want now with access. Docomo Pacific, better together. Some conditions apply.
What are you gonna do now? How are you gonna push? How are you gonna live? It all depends on you. You ain't got time to be complaining. You ain't got time to be angry. So if you feeling weak and you in that dark place, you better find the light within yourself, because when it's all said and done, we are all brothers and sisters in battle. I ask you to be strong. Whatever challenge you face, there is no obstacle greater than you. Be productive, be powerful, and from the bottom of my heart, my name is Coach Payne, and I'm asking you to conduct your business. Go!
Matson is in this community. We've been in this community for decades. We're gonna be in this community for decades to come. Things will get busy, things will get quiet, but we're gonna be here. We're your hometown carrier. And that matters to us.
Reliability is the core of our business. We take pride in ensuring that we arrive in Guam on time as scheduled.
It's our local employees who understand the market, who understand the business, and provide that hard work for you each and every day.
When we hold ourselves to high standards, our customers also hold us to high standards. We establish good business relationships that turn into friendships. That's why it's so important to be here and be trusted by your customers. We want you to trust Matson like your friend, like your family.
Before we close out the news tonight, our latest round of birthday shout-outs from the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club.
There are lots of Guamanians who are topping tonight's Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club, so let's get right to it. Rose Ann D. Cruz wishing Mom a very happy birthday with all of our love from Ty, Mia Austin, Allie, Pia Ray, and Ava Rose. Caitlin Santos, happy birthday to you from all of your friends and family and all of us here at KUAM. Aisha Rose Perez has a birthday, and happy blessings from Nina. Coming from Aria Ray and the Familia. Ariana Lynn at Faji Blas Gumatautal celebrates Sweet 16 and happy birthday to you. From all of your friends, Mom, Dad, Riley, Darian, Dylan, Grandma, Papa, and the rest of the family. Oscar Ricaldi, happy birthday to Pop. We love you. Thank you for everything you do for all of us. Now enjoy your day and keep still. Nothing like respect. Also, happy birthday number 18 to Kobe Onodera, a good friend of ours. Happy birthday, Kobe. Hope you had a great one. And happy belated birthday to 4-year-old Ian Ray. We love you from your entire family. Hope everybody out there had the best birthday ever.
Now, if you want to be a part of the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club, all you need to do is register online at KUAM.com. Now, please be sure to include with your photo your name and birth date. And that's going to do it for us here on the news. But stay tuned. Bree's up next with In the Mix. Adios.
Closed captioning is brought to you by IT&E. Explore your world.